devolution, yes, it's working, but with challenges. That the biggest threat to devolution is really corruption. The biggest threat to devolution is the tribalism and marginalization of certain communities, clans, and that is why the issue of devolving further to the wards, the issue of ward equalization fund, so that even if you got a governor who is from a certain clan, and he didn't get votes from a different corner of that county, they have no say in terms of denying the people of that ward or that particular location development. So we must strengthen devolution further to create a more equitable country that has 1,450 wards that are able to develop equitably. So I agree with you, the honorable member, that yes, devolution is working, but it can be strengthened. But also must state this, that the biggest threat to devolution, apart from the factors I've mentioned, is William Ruto himself. William Ruto never believed in devolution. He opposed this constitution that gave us devolution. And you could tell from day one, the day he was sworn in was the day he actually scrapped the Ministry of Devolution. Today, you see him all over the country. There is one who asked me whether the tour of Western changed Western. No, he was all over Western, opening markets. Now, launching a transformer. I mean, that is not the work of the president. You find that in the old system, the Minister of Local Government, like Muscari Kombo, was the one building those markets. But under the new constitution, these are devolved functions. The markets are actually this work of the governors. But you find the governors being the cheerleaders, escorting the president to open a market of 50 million. Not knowing that actually getting the president to leave State House, the logistics alone of moving him to a certain county is over that 50 million you have built that market with. So you find that he's just playing around, in fact, still doing devolved functions. The issue of fertilizer, agriculture is devolved. The counties can actually handle the fertilizer themselves. The issue of health workers, the government, national government coming in, they're encroaching on devolved functions. And this is one area that we need to see checked. And I'm very, very surprised that even the Council of Governors has not really addressed this issue. There's a clawback on devolution, and you find that the last thing is the starvation of the counties. Money that was to be given to the counties was over 400 billion. This was cut down to 380 billion. Disbursement of these funds has been delayed. I think the longest we've ever had is a delay of almost 4 months. Counties going without paying their employees, without doing anything, and borrowing from the banks. Now, this is killing devolution, and this is one area that we are saying why Ruto must go. He's a threat to devolution. He's a threat to our democracy. He's trying to kill all political parties so that he can actually remain the dictator. If he could fall all the parties and have only UDA as a party, he can do it. But that is if we have leaders like Mudavadi who will not see the threat William Ruto poses to our democracy. This man is an enemy of a democracy, and we must fight not just to defend devolution, but democracy as well. I want to also thank Omondi on the issue of him doubting whether I will not join William Ruto. I can tell you, Omondi, if I was to join William Ruto, incoming Senator Nairobi, I can tell you I would have joined William Ruto. Not that I've not been approached, but I have made my decision. And I know that with William Ruto losing Mount Kenya, the dynamics are that his only pathway remaining for him to a second term is Western. He would be very happy if, after buying ANC, Mudavadi, Wetangula's Fort Kenya, and getting Oparanya in his pocket, if EUGENE WAMALWA joined him today and he had no presidential candidate from Western Kenya, William Ruto will be there. He will pay any amount of money. He would give me any ministry I wanted. But do I want to be a minister again? No, I want to be president of the Republic of Kenya. I think we can do better in terms of strengthening devolution. And this really is what can transform this country. make it a more equitable and inclusive country. I believe I have what it takes. And this is something I want to assure you tonight on Monday. William Ruto may buy all the parties in Western Kenya or in Kenya, but he will not buy DAP Kenya. He can buy all the presidential candidates, but he will not buy Eugene WAMALWA, because I have been privileged, and I thank God for this. President Kibaki gave me a job. I think one of you asked me what my record is. I was member of parliament for Saboti for one term. And when I was that member of parliament, I was given the top performing member of parliament in the 10th parliament. I was amongst the top performing. And I'm very proud of my record. We brought about changes, legislative changes, including what we are now calling AGPO, access to public procurement. I was the initiator of that bill, and I'm very, very happy that fighting for the young people of this country, that bill, that law has transformed the country, though with challenges, there's room for improvement. Kibaki appointed me as a very young parliamentarian. I was in my 30s when he appointed me to be Minister for Justice. That was just for a year. And I was very, very privileged to be the minister who was in charge of the implementation of that constitution. The late Mutula Kilonzo was the Minister for Justice during the promulgation, but he handed over to me, and I'm very happy having worked with the chair of the Commission for Implementation of the Constitution, Nyachai, Attorney General Gidu, Professor Gidu Muigai, and others, Speaker Kenneth Marende. We were able to work day and night to create the legislative framework for implementation of that constitution, and I made my contribution. It's just that I don't boast much. I've served in other ministries of water, Ministry of Devolution and Defense. The issue is then, yes, Eugene, what did you do? I never stole from Kenyans. That should be the first question. When you scrutinize anyone who submit to you and to public scrutiny seeking this critical office, the number one qualification is that what is your record? Have you, when you served, was there a scandal in your ministry? Were you involved in stealing public funds? Were you involved in this and that scandal? Eugene WAMALWA's record is open for your scrutiny now and in future, and I'm proud that I can look every Kenyan in the eye and say, for the roles I was given to serve this country, I did so diligently to the best of my knowledge and ability. I want to also say that Odera, you talked about the GENZs joining one party. What is the strategy? I'm saying tonight, GENZs don't have to join my party DAPK to be able to form this team. They don't have to. All the GENZs need to make a decision, even if they were to form their own party. They need to come to the table so that when we are forming the People's Coalition, we are equals, we are partners at the table. We don't want them to be passengers in this vehicle. We want them to be partners at the table. And all they need to do is ask who is standing with the GENZs. If you're in a party today that is supporting Zakayo, chama kimeenda kuokoa Zakayo, and you are Gen Z, that is the enemy of Gen Zs. You have no business being in any party that is supporting Zakayo, that betrayed you, because Zakayo is your abductor in chief. He is the one responsible for the dates. The buck stops with him, as Justin Muturi said. He cannot escape that. The abductions, the killings, the buck stops with none other than the president and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, of defense forces of Kenya. And that's none other than William Ruto. So if you're in a party that is aligned to Zakayo, move out today. And I'm very, very happy that Wiper Democratic Movement kicked out one of the other enemies of the GENZs, Farah Malim, a man from whose mouth terrible words came out, that if it were him, he would have killed 5,000 GENZs. Now, if you have a party where Farah Malim is, that is an enemy of the GENZs. You have no business being there. I'm very happy that my friend and brother, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, kicked out Farah Malim. So if you are Gen Z and you're in Wiper, you are in the right party. You're in DAPK, you're in the right party. You are in all these other parties that are forming the team that is going to remove Zakayo or even if you are to form your own party as GENZs and you come to the table to negotiate so that we work together, we will welcome it. What we want to say is that let us not be like those Christians who are fighting in the Bible. And some were saying, oh, we belong to Apollos. Some were saying, oh, we belong to Paul. Others were saying we belong to Cephas. The book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 22 says, whether you belong to Paul or Apollos or Cephas, you all belong to Christ. So today there are just two sides, my friends. There's the side of Okoa Zakayo, and we know who has gone to Okoa Zakayo. And there's the side of Okoa Kenya. That is where we belong. That is where we want to be with you, the GENZs, the millennials, the churches, the civil society, and all forces who believe in the liberation of this country. You all belong to the liberation movement, the People's Coalition. And that is what we're inviting you tonight, to work with us, and together hamutakuwa abiria kwenye hii meli, mutakuwa mabaharia. That is what we are assuring you of tonight as we invite you to work together with us. Joe, you have asked me a very critical question about 2027 or before. I can tell you this already happened on 25th of June. It happened. Ruto and his government, Wetangula and his parliament stands impeached. In fact, them continuing to purport to be still in power, it's an illegitimate regime. So I agree with you. They should go like yesterday. And that is something that all I would add is that it must be constitutional, and we must work through constitutional means to ensure that William Ruto is removed. And it is possible. William Ruto can be removed before 2027. Gachagua was the deputy president. He was elected with Ruto. Today, he's in Wamunyoro. Why? Because the constitution gives powers for removal of a deputy president. What grounds were used to remove him? They were talking about tribalism. They were talking about corruption. Today, the world has branded William Ruto the most corrupt president on the continent of Africa and the most corrupt president in the world. If you are saying DP Gachagua was corrupt and that's why he was impeached, then William Ruto, there are grounds for his impeachment. If you are saying he's a tribalist, we see him actually talking about and sowing the seed of division, us versus them, hustlers versus dynasties. And now he's even saying those with pay slips versus those without pay slips. You see him talking about the language callously about Kenyans who are struggling, who can't put food on the table, who are struggling to pay rent, fees for their children, because you have drained their pay slip until there's nothing left. And here you are trying to incite those without pay slips. Those are the ones we are building houses for. So these ones must pay, wapende, wasipende. It is our sacred duty to ensure that we end this oppression, these oppressive taxes, and the failed policies of one William Ruto. It will take all of us. It will take an all hands on deck approach. It will not just take the GENZs. It will take GENZote, all generations, all hands on deck. And that is the word I'll leave you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Eugene. And just to add to Joe, you had a question for the lawyer-client relationship. I think, yes, lawyers can represent anyone as long as there is no conflict of interest. They follow ethical, professional guidelines. The lawyer-client relationship is based on confidentiality, trust, and legal obligation. Thank you. Hopefully that also responded to your question. Over to you, Hillary.
Thank you so much, guys. And Mheshimiwa, how many times do you have? Because I know we are past time. We agreed. How many minutes can you add us to give these people to?
Maybe we could do another round in 10 or 15.
Okay,
Can you give me just about 2 minutes alone? Just 2 minutes, please.
Carry up your hand, Mark. That one is in order. We hear you. Mark, go ahead. Josephine, go ahead. And then King Josh, in that order. And then Justice
Okay.
for all.
I won't take a lot of time. I'll just take less than 2 minutes just to articulate my point here. Thank you so much, Eugene Wamalo, for coming over here and articulating your point for us. I really appreciate it. I also want to make some note to you because I know that you've been in leadership and you've been doing some great job out there. And I just want to let us know, all of us, that everybody who is going for leadership at this point none of them can be pointed out as not have worked with Can you hear me? I believe you can hear me. None of
Yes, yes,
them,
we can hear you.
yeah, none of them can be said that they never worked with the previous government or the other previous government. All the times that I've been voting, I've been losing. My candidate has been losing all through. And therefore, this time round, we want to pick somebody who we know can represent our aspirations. And Eugene Wamalwa, I want to ask you, but it is important to look at what the other leaders have been doing, and the worst mistake that you should do is to associate with anybody who was in this government or previously. And right now you are associating so closely with Rigi G. I think that's the biggest and gravest mistake you are making.
Okay. It's like we lost him. Hillary, next to the next speaker.
Mark, are you asking question or you are commenting? I'm wondering, guys. All right, okay. Justin, go ahead, and then Justice for all.
Did you mute me? Did you mute me?
No, you disappeared. Are you here?
No.
You were asking a question or you were giving a comment?
Okay, go
Oh,
to the next speaker. Thank you. It's
Josephine, are you here?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah, but you are away from the mic. Be close.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I want to say hi to Mweshimiwa. Good evening, Mweshimiwa Eugene. And
Evening.
fellow, thank you, Iral, for hosting the space, Abdi, and Costing and Ross. And all the panelists who have been asking questions, I really appreciate. And also all the panelists who are also listening, we really appreciate you all. I have around 3 questions for Mweshimiwa Eugene. Question number 1 is that you have just talked about your party and being able to support the GENZs. And I would also want to hear what is the position of your party when it comes to women, and where do you rate women in your party? The other question number 2 is about the state of the nation. Because when I was trying to go around and do my little research, is that actually since 1996, we have about 34 factories which have closed down and over 200 companies which have locked down. Yet, that is the process. We are seeing people actually escalating in education, performing, and graduating. How comes that these companies have been locking down, and the government giving actually one sole person, maybe the authority to import something which is supposed to be manufactured in our country, but it's given one single person so that they can accrue all the benefits and become richer, while we are terminating jobs for our young Kenyans who are educated and graduating. The other thing is, do you think, as you aspire to be a president, there is any president who can ever create jobs for Kenyans now, having so many graduates without jobs, yet already so many companies have been closed down, and we are having so many things which we can manufacture them locally, being imported by one single person and accruing all the wealth and all the profit, and continuing making the Kenyan government have lesser employees and have lesser people to contribute to the taxes, and also escalating the prices of the taxes for the companies who are supposed to employ. Is it possible for any government, because whatever Ruto is telling us regarding watu kwenda kwa mjengo, that's rubbish. Actually, if he was really for creating jobs, he would have stopped each and anything that is being imported from international, which can be manufactured, and starts reviving the companies and the factories in our country. Is it possible to eradicate lack of employment in our country without reviving the companies? The other thing is that, if you remember very well, Justice Maranga, before he retired, he terminated the parliament because of lack of gender that. So what I'm saying, really, even the parliament that we have right now, despite that it has happened, it's a little null and void. And also my take is that right now, Ruto with the people who have been killed, the many young people who have been killed in on 25th of June last year, he should not be in office. That's my take. And I say that with no fear of contradiction, because actually he says that they committed treason, but he was the treasoners actually champion. He is the one who caused the treasoners offense to take place. So he's the one who committed the treason, and he's the one who's supposed to go away. The other thing is that, do you think it's important right now we recall back all the MPs immediately after the IEBC in place, especially those who voted for the finance bill 2023-2024? Thank you. Those are my questions. I really appreciate to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
the incoming governor of Mombasa, the first female governor, who will be coming in Mombasa 2027.
Thank you so much, Josephine. So you are incoming governor. Okay, that's a good thing, and we really appreciate that. We are seeing leaders are emerging. That's a good thing. So, Justice for all minute, I see you, Prof. Kibwana. Thank you so much for joining the team, and we really appreciate you. Yes, Justice for all, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be very brief and probably a little bit less of submission, but
I will appreciate.
Direct question. I'll do my best. Congratulations, Honorable Eugene, for your new offices and also for bringing a team together. That seems like it's a team of party leaders that you plan to work together. So that brings to my first question. One of the challenges we've had in the recent past is that during the formation of the coalitions, you put us on edge until the last minute without knowing who indeed is going to flag bearer, because most of you are coming in as presidential candidates. In trying to come up with a working formula that is going to be a winning one, what plans do you have not to put some of us who are supporting the movement on edge until the tail end, and then causing so much confusion and to some extent causing some level of division? So that'll be my first question. My second question is on the issue of the debt. What plans do you have in place in telling us where did our money go? Don't just tell us how much we owe, but tell us where it went. Do you have a plan, an elaborate audit plan to show us? Because we have a lot of stalled projects and everything, but did we really borrow that money, and where is our money? My last one is on the issue of declaration of wealth for those who are coming into office, the clearance from EACC and all that kind of stuff. What good does it do us to tell us that you are worth 4 billion when we actually don't know how you acquired that, and there's no trail to be able to really get to understand? Is there, like, you as you come in as a party leader, level of transparency that is going to show us that indeed this is where our money went and we can see it? I think we are allowed to know where that money went into. How did you acquire your wealth, not how much you're worth? And finally, the other question of ensuring that you guys are working ahead of time to make sure that you are putting these plans in place in a way that we know that we have a direction. These are the people running. These are the people that have declared, and then we go into the elections. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice for all. King Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Hillary, for this great opportunity that was given it unto me. And to Mheshimiwa Eugene, good evening.
Good evening.
My question is, now that you have said that you want to run for the big office, what are you going to do to ensure that the Mlembe nation is being united, bearing in mind that for now the Mlembe nation is being divided into two. Secondly, it's about the public debt. How are we going to ensure that the money being borrowed to the IMF and the World Bank is being utilized good to ensure that that money is not going to certain individuals. And thirdly, it's about the IEBC. According to your conversation that we have had, I've heard you saying that it seems the electronic system is already been manipulated. So, is it possible we go manual electronic system? And lastly, it's about the CPC. CPC, as we are talking now, it's not working. So, what are you going to do to ensure that it's either working or you scrap it away, so that we go back to the 844 system? Then, on the part of corruption, how are you going to will you solve the issue of corruption in most of the government offices and the county government? Because if you solve the issue of corruption, I think devolution will work. So thank you, Hillary,
Thank you so much, King Josh.
for the opportunity, and we are together.
Thank you so much. Prof, I see you. I want to welcome you in the space. And you can say hi to Kenyans. And also, you can, if you have a question or you have anything to add on the state of the nation, we have seen even the young people are still being abducted. Many are died. We don't know where the some are. Prof, go ahead.
Uh, Thank you very much, Hilary, Abdi, Rose, and of course the guest, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. Hilary, you continue to do, and Abdi, a great job inviting, people who, are trying to take our country, somewhere. And I must congratulate Wamalwa, because some people will not come to these spaces. They are afraid, but he does not fear, and he comes to engage Kenyans. I listened before I came on board, and there was a time Eugene said that they invite Gen Zs to get into, the political parties, particularly those of the forming opposition coalition. And I kind of underlined that word, invite. I am persuaded myself that the next elections will be won to the extent that Gen Zs are a central part of the electoral process. And so they have to feel that after the events of last year, that they're being recognized as a major part of the struggle for democratic change, for the economic liberation, the third liberation that must happen. And so one question that I could ask Wamalwa is, given how difficult it is to form political parties in Kenya, does he think that their coalition could actually help the Gen Zs to have their own party, so that when they come into the table, if they decide to come to any table, they come as an equal partner to whoever, and they are not just being invited to, come into this party and that party, and maybe sometimes they play peripheral positions, because the 8 million people who didn't vote in the last elections and were registered voters were young people. About 3 to 4 million did not register as citizens or did not register to vote. And now, by 2027, about another 4 million Gen Zs will be ready, 18 plus, to vote. That's about 15, 16 million new votes. And definitely, if those have an incentive to participate, because they see that they are going to be at the center of the electoral process, at the center of reforming Kenya, I'm sure they would come up and be very much involved. So the question is, do you think, Honorable Wamalwa, that this Gen Z bloc needs to create a political party or parties of Gen Zs, and then to be able, therefore, when they sit at table, they sit at table as people who are of consequence? And of course, the integrity issue that has been there are various speakers who have asked about the integrity question, so that the opposition, the people who are aspiring to take over from Ruto, are themselves, let me say, reasonably clean. Because sometimes, if one watches some of the people that, for example, in the coalition with Kalonzo and so on, some of the people may have had a clear past of, of being questioned in terms of the integrity. Now, is that a pointer to the kind of integrity test that is going to come up, be relevant as we go forward? And of course, the coalitions still look like they are forming on the basis of tribe, not ideology. So will that change, or am I wrong in thinking so? And the Kenya Kwanza Alliance had a big plan of hustler, of bottom up. So where is the manifesto of, is the manifesto in the process of being made and socialized, so that people know for real that the new leadership will definitely be different? Because that's the problem that Kenyans have, that people come like how Kenya Kwanza did, and they say they are going to do a new thing. There'll be a new song. But then, we realize that there isn't that new song. And therefore, let me land by saying that there was something very important that Eugene did, but it seemed to have been frustrated. He tried to get the economic blocks so that counties could aggregate and be able to have more economic muscle. And maybe that's something that Wamalwa needs to, talk about a lot as they go to places, and that kind of thing. That was a very positive thing, that he did, and also to sensitize Kenyans that there are people who want to change the constitution to create, I don't know, prime ministers, deputy prime ministers, chief administrative, whatever, so that in advance people are forewarned, and they are able to say that they don't want positions created so that they can be used in terms of the elections. The ABC issue has been talked a lot about, so I won't repeat that, because if there isn't an independent IBC, that is going to really perhaps create the problems in 2027, even contestation that could lead into a civil war. But I wish that the Gen Zs would be assisted to form their political formations, so that when they are negotiating with whoever, they are doing that from a point of strength and a point of authenticity, and that actually we should be working towards getting like at least half of the elective positions in 2027 going to Gen Z and Gen Y, just like other places like abroad, where even 30-year-olds, 30 something, become prime ministers, because leadership is shifting to the younger generation, and people should be helped, mentored to get into the leadership. Thank you very much, Hilary, Abdi, Rose, and Eugene, for discussing with Kenyans and not being afraid to face hard questions. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, everybody in the space.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. We really appreciate your presence always. Come to our spaces and also give a voice. Patrick Osoi,
Yes, sir. How are you,
how are you
Hillary?
doing? I'm good.
Abdi, Rose, and the host, Eugene. So I have a
Thank
few
you.
questions. Yeah, I have a few questions, Waziri. How are you doing, Waziri?
So quite okay.
Yeah, you launched your party. I wasn't there. Anyways,
Sorry.
all right, no
You,
problem.
you had
So the thing
problem, I
is,
think.
all right, you will have to relaunch again so that we can come, all of us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So I have a few questions, Waziri. Yeah?
Mm.
We have had issues with the IBC, whereby right now they have already reconstituted the commissioners to deal with the IBC issue. But I have had something that has been in the domain between the Koki and Moli, Dr. Moli, whereby there were intelligence stating that Koki was in support by the Honorable Stephen Kalonzo, and in this case, there was also some intelligence stating that William Ruto also is in conjunction in support of Koki or whoever. So those issues for me as Patrick Osoi, because I'm also running for the big seat, I felt they were very pertinent. I think I'm the first person to, after the 25th demonstration, actually from 18th, to state that we needed to have IBC reconstituted as a matter of urgency. I want to say that we, or personally, there need to be, as most of us have said here, we have to craft a way to make sure that the system is not doctored or is not interfered with. And the only way, and the reason as to why at times I keep quiet is because I don't think we are still having the pinch to get Ruto out of the seat. We are still not there. And if we are there, I want to tell you that Kenyans are a serious people. So I think the pain is getting into the Kenyans people, just slowly by slowly. And I want to say that William Ruto, Dr. William Ruto, has mastered the art of Kenyans in a manner that he knows that we are manipulated by money. Right now, he has stolen trillions. He's not a billionaire anymore, he's a trillionaire. So I'm wondering, are we ready to embrace, or are we ready to gang up together to see that we defeat, the old mentality whereby money has been an issue to manipulate the politics of the day? Again, I think as a legal person, maybe you can advise and tell us on the waiting of the 2 years within the formulation of the IBC. Are we in a constitutional crisis? Professor, you can also help us on that so that we get to see, do we have the time to make sure that the IBC is reconstituted in time? And again, right now, Dr. William Ruto is in the business of making sure that the political party registrar's office is run not by the political party registrar, but run by commissioners who will be drawn from the ruling party and other parties that are of interest. Are we really safe to say that right now? I want to assure and I want to tell you there will be very hard. In the next 1 month, we will have a lot of deregistration of political parties in this country. We are not looking forward to see whether we are going to have a political party as young people. And I want to say that us being silent, and I myself being a young person, and who came out not during the Gen Z time, before the Gen Z on May last year, and stated that I wanted to say enough is enough, and we need to take over this country. And I'm always quiet because I really, and I'll repeat again, we are still not there, feeling the pinch. And if we feel the pinch, I can tell you, gentlemen, we don't have to wait until 2027. If we sit down today, and either way, the sovereignty of the people is constitutional. It is not. It is not. It is not saying that we are going. Maybe we are overthrowing the government, or in any case we are anarchy. No, the sovereignty of people is well stipulated in our constitution. We can take over the government if we want to, and we have the experience. You, Waziri, you are a wakili, you are a lawyer. Kalonzos are lawyers. Myself, with my experience from the forces, I was not just in the forces, I was a special force soldier. I know, I understand the security overview of this country. So, if we remain to be serious with GENZs, millennials, and everyone, we have to craft a way and take over this country. And I'm telling you, the delay of IBC has been so deliberate. And I was foreseeing, or I'm foreseeing, God willing, let us have the time to have our IBC reconstitution within the time is allowed. Because this guy wanted to go, or might even go 7 years, if we are not careful. Because the IBC today says that we need 2 years before the elections. I don't know, they have to have a many, I don't know how many days before they have everything on board. What does that tell us? It tells us that this guy goes beyond 2027. So what I mean is that we have to mean business if we have to take over this government, and we have to take it very serious. And for me, on the state of the nation, on the regard to the IBC, in regard to the extrajudicial killings that are happening in this country, in regard to what we can see. And I remember when we had a meeting in X year on people getting abducted. And I said and stated people, advise them on a security base. If you see any vehicle that is abducting any Kenyan, you shouldn't let that vehicle go anywhere. And you see, we have to craft a way where we have to protect each other as a community, as Kenya, as a way that, and I want to tell you, right now, what they're working on is to create, they are just creating a scenario whereby right now Dr. William Rusto has invested much by giving the Somalis community a lot of positions in the government. Today, he has gone and entered the Western Kenya region as a perception. So he is now creating a perception of Somalis and Western Kenya, so that now he can be able to steal election, claiming that the Mount Kenya region would have not won or would not support in any case. Anyways, what I want to mean is that we have to stand tall, we have to stand firm, and we have to work together deliberately to make sure that we take care of the business of the day. And it is not that because Patrick Osoya said he want to become the president, Waziri said he want to become the president. It's okay for everyone to say, but can we come on the board and say who is the best among us as we work together? So that now it is not the business of competing to each other. I am selfless myself. If there be any Kenyans who will better and be good enough to make sure that he can run this country, we will rally behind that person. But as a matter of fact, up to now, I am a bit skeptical, a bit worried, and as a matter of fact, still supporting a few of us. But still, the person we are dealing with uh, is not like Kenyans, no, because in 2014, I was a ground force commander of one of the most elite team in this country. And I want to tell you, William Ruto, Dr. William Ruto is not the guy you know. That guy is a no-nonsense guy. If we joke around forming some formations that are not serious, that are not inclusive, and in this case, not including everyone, whether I have a mistake as a young person, as a leader, I need to be molded. I need to be brought to the board and be guided the best way to take course. If it's, for example, because I won't deny the fact of the young guy, this Morara Kibaso, for example. The young man has information, but how can he be guided instead of being fought? And I'm saying this with a lot of humility. You know, I've had more young leaders coming out instead of them being mentored to become whatever we want in this country, because information is you become powerful. And Professor Kibuda, I think you're one of the greatest persons I've been listening around. And I also want to welcome, I will visit you because you are the people that I would want closely to work with your experience so that you also help us with your experience. We have the energy. We need the experience that you have. to help us see whether we can take over our country. The business we have on or before 2027 is to rescue this country, is to take over this country. It's not about even election. Election will do 2032, but the business we have currently is to craft and to know how we can take over this country, because this country is in rapid. This country is in the hands that we cannot trust even a day. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop at that. And let me say that I am grateful to see this engagement. And when a leader comes in this space, let us see how we can make him better and better if we trust these leaders. Let them ask Patrick Osoyo all help me to be better of myself, so that at the end of the day, we have the soldiers who can march on and take over this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to stand tall. We have to have a militant mindset to take this country. The person we are talking about, the person we want to compete against, is not a joke. It's a person who needs militant minds. It's a person who does not understand the rule of the law. You very well know that the guy does not follow the rule of the law. So we cannot approach him on the basis of the rule of the law, because he will not listen, he will not follow. And Waziri, allow me to, you just answer for me this question. Whether you knew or you understand the fight that has been there for the commissioners, that is between the Dr. Moli and Koki, who in this case has taken over as commission. What was the
Thank you.
wrangles?
Patrick trying
Why?
to land.
Yes. Why did we go for Koki and not Moli in this case, that he is the one who won this maybe election or nominations of the commissioners that need to reconstitute the IBC? Kindly allow me to rest my case.
Thank you, Patrick. I think good submission. Let's keep it factual, issue based, and let's focus on merit and accountability. That's good. I'll add one more question before we go to the Honorable Eugene WAMALWA. This is from our listeners who are listening us from all the parts of the nation. And the first question is about the mounting concerns about the curriculum, competency-based curriculum, CBC. This viewer says, from inadequate infrastructure, high cost, teacher unpreparedness, to the widening gap between the privileged and the disadvantaged learners. Is CBC a progressive reform that Kenyans should embrace, or is unrealistic burden requires urgent restructuring or even abolition? That's what he says. Then there is one more question on the economy, which I will also read. I think you talked about. One of Ruto campaign promise was to reduce the cost of living. Yet life has become more unbearable for ordinary Kenyans. What are your proposals for immediate relief to struggling families? 45% of our salaries are being deducted through multiple levies and taxes. What steps can be taken to reverse this illegal deduction? Should the parliament or the court be used to challenge these punitive deductions, or is a mass action the only way? Thank you. These are comments coming online. Thank you for all of you who have posted your comments. Over to you, Hillary. You can hear me, Hillary? Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, you can hear me?
We can hear you, Abdi, or maybe kindly
Okay.
allow me to take it on before giving to Eugene Wamalwa, because
Okay.
even
I give it
equally
to
have a
you 2
question.
minutes, and then we cycle back here to Honorable
Yeah,
Eugene Wamalwa. Thank you.
maybe kindly you add me to 4, because I've been listening.
No,
And
we're on the top of the hour, Fabish. So just cut it at 2, and then we'll move from there. Thank you.
Yeah, first, I am among the few people, or among Kenyans who don't believe that we are ready for election 2027, because we all understand the traits of William Ruto, and he has succeeded in making sure that he break all the systems. Not even single one is working, and we don't know the miraculous that is going to happen in the IBC. That is not going. We can say that we have confidence, and I don't know the miracle that Eugene, you are expecting that you can give us confidence that William Ruto is not going to manipulate the IBC if he succeeded in manipulating the parliament, if he succeeded in manipulating the judiciary? What will make us think that he will not succeed in manipulating only 9 commissioners of the IBC? That is number one. Number two is is to Eugene. The problem that we are facing today, it is about the system, not actually that it is only William Ruto, but about the system. And in this system, Eugene, you have served in this system before, just like also Professor Kivuda. And when you are part of that system, with the vast knowledge you have, you could not provide the solutions for this country, not because of your mistake, but because of the system. The reason why we are saying that first we need the overhaul of the system, and when it comes to, because it has been looked now like Gen Z are contesting for position. That's why we are saying, before we go election, Gen Z need to come with a political party. It was not about positions of Gen Z and millennials, but it was about the good governance. When there is good governance, it doesn't matter the age bracket that is in the leadership, whether it's 90-year-old, whether it's 100-year-old, whether it's 15-year-old, it doesn't matter. As far as the system is working and favoring everyone. That is actually why people went to the streets. So it was not a matter of whether Gen Z are going to be given positions to serve or no. Because now, I think this issue want to be politicized and trivialized to look like Gen Z are crying out loud because they have been left out of positions. It is not about just positions, but it is about the system that work for the people. And it is very clear that the problem that we have today is not only the problem of makings of William Ruto only, but it is the entire system. That is why when we went to the street, we say we want to drain the swamp and we want to overhaul the system. And I think we should not lose ourselves from that rail of saying that we need the overhaul of the system and draining the swamp so that we can have a system that works properly for everyone. Lastly, is when we talked about the governance and we saw the other day when you were launching party, we saw the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, we saw the like of EUGENE WAMALWA, Matiangi, though he did not appear, he sent a representative. All these faces are faces that are known to us. They are not new. So how can you convince us that these faces that have been here for so long now, all of a sudden they have a new calling that they can now bring a change that they did not bring change? Because all of you have served in the system. But now when you are crying that we need to change the system, we need to join hand first and see that we can change the system first before talking of positions and who will become what. And lastly, even this is direct to you, Eugene. When you are launching a party, we saw Tony Gashoka saying that he want to vie for Nairobi governor under the DAP Kenya. And he has been consistent on that. And it's like you are not endorsing, you are not supporting, or there is a confusion in your party. So if you can see even the confusion at this level of onset before even taking off, is it not the same confusion that in case just we want to have that window period that, okay, let's have a benefit of doubt and go to election 2027, maybe if you eventually enter into the power, it's not the same confusion that you are going to carry. And lastly,
I think you have a lot of last
Fabish,
questions. Can you please land?
you
Thank
don't
you.
land.
yes, let me land with this last one. So
I've been saying
Eugene,
lastly, and
we are skeptical because are you even going to be a pacemaker, or you want to be at the ballot box? Because we have seen political blockage in this country where someone will come say, I want to be president, I'm candidate, he consolidate. After all, they start to make affiliation, and then all of a sudden, you start selling people to another political party. That is the problem that we are having today, because then people lose the track of that ideology. The reason why people want to support you today is because of your ideology. But now, if next year you take people and sell to different people, same problem that we're having today. Many affiliations, somebody you are supporting different
thank
parties,
you,
only
Fabish.
to be
Thank you,
taken to
Fabish.
Kenya
I'll leave
Kwanza.
you there. Thank you. And some of these questions were already answered in previous discussion as we were there. Maybe you joined us late. Thank you. I'll hand over the mic to Honorable EUGENE WAMALWA. Over to you, Honorable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think let me start with the last one. And I just want to tell my brother that the fact that someone served in the previous government does not mean he cannot lead or do better in the next government. And the example I can give you is Professor Kibwana. And I was very, very privileged to have been his student. Mwalimu wangu, I'm grateful, and I want to thank Hillary, Abdi, and Rose for actually extending this session, that I had a chance to talk to my professor of law, constitutional law. And after leaving the University of Nairobi, when I was appointed to the Ministry of Justice, I was again privileged to work with Professor Kibwana. He was the advisor to President Kibaki on constitutional affairs. We worked very, very closely between the presidency and the Ministry of Justice to ensure implementation of this great, great constitution. And I can tell you, after he left Kibaki's government, after we promulgated the constitution and he became Governor Makueni, what he did was a fantastic job. I can tell you, as the Minister for Devolution, that I worked with Kibwana again, and what he did in Makueni is what can be done when we have leaders of integrity, leaders of great vision in our country and in our counties. Professor Kibwana was able to show what leadership can be. And Makueni was one of the best performing counties. In spite of our local politics and challenges of impeachment, Kibwana was able to perform and outperform most of his peers. And today, as we speak, I can still say Kibwana is one of the best governors Kenya has ever had. And he transformed Makueni, matters corruption, matters tribalism, the way that county was run in terms of public participation and involving the people in decision making. I always gave the example of Makueni, where one governor used about 200 million to build a governor's house. I won't name that county. Yet Professor Kibwana used 150 million to put up a hospital that served over 100,000 people, and a house for a governor that served 5 people, the governor, his wife, and his 3 children. That is the difference in terms of leadership. Everything stands and falls on leadership of integrity. Those of you, because this question has kept coming back, oh, you've been in this system, you've been in that government, what will change? One of the best performing presidents of our republic was Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki served in the Kenyatta government. Mwai Kibaki served in the Moi government. He was one of the best finance ministers. He was vice president. But when Kenyans gave him an opportunity to serve as president, I think his 10 years were the most transformative. When you look, it's about a leader and the integrity of that leader and the vision for the country and the policies you bring. So to my last question, I want to say that the fact that Eugene served in the last 2 administration, does not mean he cannot make a great president or a transformative president given a chance. All you need to do is, yes, now public service, you have been here for the last 10 or 20 years, scrutinize his record in public service. And if you find Eugene Wamalwa to be a qualified leader to be president and a leader of integrity and a leader who can actually measure up to your expectations, then he is qualified to be that president. Don't expect angels to come from nowhere to transform this country, but let us just have leaders of integrity to do it. And it will depend on the policies that will, what changed this country during Kibaki's regime were policies. He brought about the free primary education policy. At first, it looked like an impossible thing. But later on, the whole world celebrated the free primary education policy by Kibaki, and later on the free secondary education and transition, 100% transition. Kenya is one of the few African countries that was able to achieve 100% transition from primary to secondary. It's because of the good policies Kibaki put in place, and that Uhuru carried on. And it was achieved in Uhuru's time, the 100% transition, but the foundation was laid by Mwai Kibaki. So what we are saying about the policies, it's not that we hate William Ruto, but we hate the corruption that he has entrenched in this country, and the tribalism. When you look at what has happened in our public service, when you look at the policies that are hurting every Kenyan, and it matters not whether you are Luya or Kalenjin or Kikuyu or Kisi, if a policy is bad, it's bad for all Kenyans. If the pay slip shrinks for teachers, it will not look at a teacher in Baringo or Elgeyo Marakwet or a teacher in Tuda in Mombasa. All teachers will be affected. Just like now, all policemen are affected. Because when that housing levy is forced on you, whether you are a doctor or a teacher or an MCA or an MP or a professor teaching somewhere, you suffer the same. So we are saying what we will need is really leaders who can make changes. And some of us were in the last administration that had put in place good policies. Linda Mama. This new government comes in and removes Linda Mama. There was Kazi Mitani, where we're putting money in the pockets of young people in different parts of the country, 2 billion every month. The first thing they came and scrapped it. When it came to importation of oil, we wanted openness, transparency. We had the OTP system, open tender system, where anyone in the energy sector who wanted to import, it was open. But here, our friends come in and change to G2G. Few people fly to Dubai, seal a deal, and the deal runs up to December. Again, they extend it. So as we speak, even if crude oil prices drop globally, Kenya is locked into a deal that benefited a few people, and oil prices have not gone down. They come up with policies that double VAT on fuel. This is where the rain started beating us. Change of policy. VAT, once it moved from 8% to 16%, everything went bottom up. And all these policies we are saying, yes, we have leaders, we have young GENZs who are qualified to lead this country, and we can work together. We have seasoned politicians and leaders who have served in this past regime and past administration, who have the experience, who can tell you these were the policies changed in the education sector, the new funding model, this is what was done in health, this SHA, NHIF was working, this is what could have been changed. There's expertise, institutional memories there that can change this country from day one, where we can say, as we take over, and we are reversing this SHA thing, first executive order is this housing levy thing must go. We are going to relook at this and do that and that. It's like hunting. When you go hunting, those of you, many of you, maybe GENZs might not know how hunting was in the village. Those of us who grew up on the farm, when you go hunting, you don't go with one dog. There will be the old dog that has a big voice that would bark, and the antelope would break cover and run. Then there will be that scent, the dog that knows how to smell the scent. That's the most experienced dog of all, and very important in following the animal. Then there was the youngest, the strongest, that runs faster than the old one, and the dog of that smells the scent. All of them are important in the hunt. It's what you will go hunt and bring home that matters on the family table. And all decisions, like Ronald Reagan said, greatest decisions, revolution start at the family table. How are we going to hunt? Who will play what role? We can work together and complement each other in terms of ensuring we succeed in the objective. And I agree with Tosi that it will not be easy to remove William Ruto. And we're not removing William Ruto because he's of that community or we hate him. It's because he is the one who has brought these changes that are hurting Kenyans. And he has said himself the levels to which he wishes to raise taxation, he's not even halfway there. Meaning, as long as the cow is up on that tree, taxes will go up. What happened in October? What is going to happen the end of February when NSSF rates come in? What's going to happen in June after the Finance Bill 2025 passes will keep happening as long as he's there, because he has defied experts who came to bomb us, who told him, Mr. President, you've gotten it wrong. Higher taxes do not necessarily translate into higher revenues for government. There's only a level to which you can tax your citizens, and you have passed that level. In fact, you are violating the rights of all these employees, the dignity of the workers in Kenya, because you have gone beyond the level. And I listened to the FKE speakers saying the same thing. Many Kenyans are going into depression. They look at their pay slips and they can't make ends meet. Yet, you see wastage in this government. Billions are being spent on State House. An old, beautiful architectural Victorian age colonial look house is transformed into a new State House. Billions are being spent there. When you're saying there isn't capitation money, when you're saying there isn't enough money to go to the counties, when you're saying you can't even pay lunch for your soldiers. Now, I've been Minister for Defense. To remove lunch for our soldiers is something that has never happened in our history. Where is the money going? The wastage, the corruption, and everything that has come with it is why we are saying William Ruto must go. So, my friend, it's not about just the system, it's about the leader. Everything stands and falls on leadership. And Professor Kibwana is a great example of what good leadership can achieve for a county and a country. And this is why we're saying most of these things need to be changed. And we're saying we are not inviting GENZs. Professor, GENZs are ahead of us. We were there on the streets in 2023. We did our demos. We didn't achieve a quarter of what the GENZs achieved. We never even accessed the CBD. GENZs were better organized with better technology. They were able to get into CBD and into Parliament, and they could have gotten into State House if they didn't kill them as they did. And I can tell you today, they are the leaders of this movement. We can only come to complement, and they will be our partners, not passengers in this vehicle. So we want to assure you tonight that the coalition that we are putting together will be one that will put the Gen Z, the millennials, center and front of this movement, and they will be at the steering wheel. Watakuwa manahodha wa meli hii, sio abiria. That is one assurance we want to give. They can choose to form their own party. They come to the table. We know they have tried before. There's been frustration because the registrar said you can't form a party on the basis of age or region or religion because of constitutional requirements. But we do know that they can get aboard vehicles that they can bring them to the table, and we partner together, not for them to become passengers or invitees. So that, Prof, I want to assure you that is where we want to look at. And also the issue of integrity. As we come together as a coalition, we must be guided by values that we believe in. And also based on Article 10, the issue of integrity is very, very important. That cannot be compromised, because when you bring the wash leaders and you give them a country, we have seen what they can do. We have seen them share 16 billion through KNTC, go to Dubai, and they never brought anything back home. The edible oil scandal still runs. The oil scandal still runs, the G2G, and all these scandals, the fertilizer, fake fertilizer. This is what poor leadership turns into when we have the wrong leaders in these offices. So in terms of bringing, I think Mr. President raised the issue of the IEBC, the issue of Muli versus Muli. Yes, that was a serious issue in Azimio, but it was resolved through court. The court gave directions on who between the two Mulis should be, and the nominations were done, and Koki's name was forwarded. And as we speak now, Koki was has been sworn in, and already the panel has started its work. They have already advertised, so the ship has set sail. And let us wish them all the best. They're all Kenyans. We hope they'll do what's right for our country, to pick men and women of integrity to be our commissioners. But we must remain alive to the fact that William Ruto will try day and night to rig this election, to manipulate the process and those who will be in those offices. But it's only eternal vigilance that will save us. We know that they've stolen a lot of money. Yes, money is going to be an issue, but I think a time comes when, like in 2002, in spite of Moi's money, when the country decided no amount of money could stop the will of the people. And no amount of force can stop the will of the people. I think that's one thing. All we need to do is get the right team together, the right coalition together, and say, for this, we must all sacrifice to save our country. I think we've reached that crisis level, and we are seeing also an attack on independent institutions. It's Barack Obama who said in Accra, Ghana, that what Africa needs are not strong men, but strong institutions. What we have here is a leader who admires strong men and who has become friends to strong men in Africa, and who is borrowing bad manners from some of these strong men to grow into one of the worst dictators we might have in our country. And he's undermining all independent institutions. He has captured parliament. He has an all-out assault, unprecedented assault on the judiciary, and Martha Koome is targeted. We know that she might not be perfect, but the institution of the judiciary and its independence must be protected at all costs. The other institution that is being targeted is the ORPP, and we know that the Israel political parties is actually facing some challenges. And that comes down to what I said. William Ruto is an existential threat to a multi-party democracy. If he can buy all parties, collapse all parties, he wouldn't mind setting the feet of this nation back to the one-party system where he was nurtured politically and as part of the YK92 group. But we are saying we will get a team together that will defend our multi-party democracy, defend our institutions, and particularly devolution. Devolution needs to be strengthened with the right leadership. This is a game changer. We've seen it in Makueni and other counties. Let us not let our guard down. Matters education, CBC, new university funding model. These are some of the areas as the new administration, as we come in, we will be open to change. And already what has most of the changes made so far, their policies have failed. And I heard the Minister for Education saying the other day they are going back by September to get a new funding model, and that should be open to discussion with proper public participation, whether CBC or the new funding model is working or not. These are policies that can be reversed. They're not cast in stone. What is not working for Kenya must be discarded, and we get a new model that will work for this country and for all of us. So let me not think there are a lot of questions, but because of time, I want to agree with those who are proposing, particularly the incoming governor of Mombasa. Josephine was talking about the issue of the recall of members of parliament. As soon as IBC is formed, this should be a number one priority. And we do not have to wait until 2027. Our constitution gives us the power. The power, the sovereign power of this nation lies in the people. They have only donated it. You can withdraw that power. The way Gachagua went home, William Ruto can go home before 2027. You're a member of parliament who have sold you out, who said yes to Finance Bill 2023, who said yes to Finance Bill 2024, that has made your life difficult. That MP, you have the powers to recall him. You don't have to humiliate until 2027. So I agree with those of you who are saying, let us work on getting the right team together, and we see how we can change this. Many factories are closing. Yes, Josephine. It's also because of the harsh taxes that have been brought by Zakayo. What we need is a new team that can create the conducive environment so that we don't end up losing many of these investors who are moving to other countries. It's because of the environment that is not conducive. The ease of doing business in Kenya, we used to, under Uhuru Kenyatta, because the right policy were put in, we had ranked the highest in Africa and actually amongst the top countries in the world in terms of ease of doing business. We're being attractive, attracting more foreign direct investment here. But with the environment that's there, the harsh taxes, this has been affected. And yes, we have lost a lot of investors, and we continue losing many of them as factories close. Today, I've seen the unemployment rate is at an all-time high. We know that they were talking of exporting Kenyans to do many jobs abroad, but they have failed to create employment opportunities back home. The national debt and all that, I think we had discussed this matter at Bomas. Those of you who followed the conversation at Bomas, we had said actually what we needed was now to have a serious national dialogue to address matters of the debt and the ongoing borrowing, to see how we can strengthen Parliament and the oversighting role so that no borrowing can be done without full authority of Parliament. So that needs to be strengthened. We also wanted to look at the issue of the rising wage bill crisis. This is something that we had proposed at Bomas. We need that conference to also address the taxation regime, the heavy burden on the citizens, and the best way out of it. All this, as you know, Ruto was taking us for a ride. He was never serious about the national dialogue at Bomas. Nothing has come out of it. I do not regret that I did sign that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Eugene. I think thank you for your powerful submission and insightful contribution as the guest speaker as we come to a close of this session. I would like to give 2 minutes to Dr. Milton, 2 minutes to KOT, and 2 minutes to Professor to make their closing remarks. Then I get back to you for your closing remarks. Thank you. Over to you, Milton. Milton, you can hear me? KOT?
Okay, thank you so much, Abdi and Milton, and the rest of the speakers and the listeners for joining us on this platform tonight. Personally, I don't have much to say. I think much have been said by the speakers who have been on this platform. And so what I want to encourage us is that we want to see change in our nation, so let us go and get that change. Let us not wait for other people to bring that change to us. And by having said that, all the young people who are on this platform, I can see Akina Okayo, they're here. Guys, let us go and take that political power. Mheshimiwa Eugene, expect me pale Kimilili, and so your support inahitajika sana. So thank you so much and have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Karibu KOT.
Okay, thank you. Professor, over to you for a closing remark.
Yes, let me also say to KOT all the best. Endelea hivyo hivyo. I think it was Fabish who said that the issue is not like the young people getting into politics. That is not what the Gen Zs looked for, and that it is needed to smash the system, overhaul the system, and so on. Of course, one cannot disagree with that position, but it needs people to do that. The system cannot destroy itself, cannot smash itself. So I think, well, I can feel frustration from Fabish, but the system can only be righted by people who are progressive, who begin to say what is this new Kenya that should look like, and then proceed from that level. And that is why my insistence that or my idea or my thought that the Gen Zs, the Gen Ys must explore all opportunities to make sure that there is a leadership transition, and they now can bring the change that they have been asking for and they believe is suitable for all Gen Zote. But again, I thank Eugene, because at least he's one of those who are not afraid to do dialogue with young people and Kenyans. And thank you, Larry. Thank you, Abdi. Thank you, Rose, for aggregating us. And please continue with this, because it's really great. I yield.
Thank you, Professor. Dr. Milton, are you there?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Okay, please go ahead. 2 minutes for your closing remark. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Always refreshing coming back here to have this kind of discussion. I think it is necessary that we keep doing this, and the more we do it, the more the urge is renewed, and we keep refreshing and rewatering our desire for liberation for our country. I want to conclude by saying that I think what is becoming clear by the day is that we have a duty to liberate our country, and that duty requires all of us, like Honorable Eugene has kept saying, all hands on deck approach, and that is what we need from all different generations, all walks of life, regardless of background, whatever it is that you come from. And I want to emphasize that what we have seen is reason for us to continue putting on the pressure. We want more young people to come out and seek leadership positions. But beyond that, we also want to make sure that even age does not become the only consideration, but that we have people who present themselves, who believe in the dream Kenya, that the project Kenya that we all want, but also are people of integrity, and they are people that can be relied on and can be depended upon. And lastly, is to say that there are signs, and every evidence points out that we are dealing with somebody that has no respect and no regard for anybody that does not believe in singing their tune, and therefore we must stay awake. They say stay woke. Stay woke. Let us stand for our country, and let us. I think the last thing is that let us continue engaging outside of this main space, because that is something that we are also lacking. Can we continue engaging even after these spaces and see what we can do together, what we can do to begin this snowballing this movement from the different levels? And I must appreciate the efforts by Honorable Kigame to reach out, come DM, and what is it that we can do? And we are beginning to start. If we can do that and create these caucuses and create this network and contact list for all of us, we can then be able to start start initiating ideas and activities that can make this a continuous thing, so that Pressure Point does not only happen on Sunday, it comes to live on Sunday, because that is when we are all putting our heads together and saying, hey, for the last 7 days, this is what we have been doing, and this is the outcome. And then Zakayo and his praise choir will begin to feel the pressure, and they would not even wait for 2027, and neither will they wait for anybody to chase them out. They will pack up their bags and go. May God bless you all. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. May God bless our great country, and asante sana.
Mm, thank you so much, Abdi. Odero, 1 minute. Then you,
Yeah, Odero, go ahead 1 minute before we go cycle back to Honorable Eugene.
Okay, thank you. A quick one. Mheshimiwa Eugene, we want to support you. We want to stand by you. My request is, would you do a consideration of making the face of DAP party a national party? That is from the official, top official leadership, the party leader Wamunyini, the deputy party leaders, the secretary general, and all of them, and all of the top officials. Because as it stands right now, it looks a little more a community party or tribal party than a national party. So that one is one recommendation. If you can do that with the party, because we want to push all this as a team. We want to push all this as a family. So I will recommend that you work on the party so that it represents the image of the country of the country, Kenya. Second, I will request, because I know you have a governor in Trans Nzoia, Natembeya. Trans Nzoia is Kenyan food basket. Unfortunately, in Trans Nzoia, where we have maize being grown in bulk and harvested in bulk, we don't have even a maize milling factory or industry. Will you put this request to your governor, your governor under DAP, to put this under considerations? Because I think the child is an image of the father. So what you could do if you become a president is a clear replica of what your MPs or elected officials under DAP are doing right now, that they have powers and they have resources at their disposal with the areas of their jurisdiction. So if you can request this in Trans Nzoia, it is alarming, and I've received a lot of concerns about that from Trans Nzoia officials of late for the last 1 month. Thank you.
Thank you, Odera. Over to you, Honorable Eugene, for your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think to start with, Odera, yes, Joy Natembeya is not just my governor, but is also the deputy party leader in DAP Kenya. And that is one of the issues that we had promised the people of Trans Nzoia. I'll just ask him to fast track it because we have maize going for hundreds of kilometers to be milled, even as far as Mombasa, when that could be done right in Trans Nzoia and create employment for our local youth and people in the region. So I thank you for that tip, and also the tip about the party. As I say, this party was formed on the eve of it's one of the youngest parties in Kenya. It's just 3 years old, and what we had was a team, the caretaker team that formed it. But we've started grassroots elections. We started in December, and we'll be doing in all 47 counties, and we'll have the leadership that will come up from every corner of Kenya, so that we have a truly national party. Even as we form the People's Coalition, we want that face of Kenya to be reflected in that coalition as well. And even as we partner with the GENZs and the millennials and all the other partners, civil society, the churches, and apart from the political parties, we want that face of Kenya, an all-inclusive country where no one is left behind. I want to thank you all for listening to me tonight. And Professor Kibana, I must say, actually, it's not that I was that brave, but many politicians are afraid to come to these spaces because of the very harsh rhetoric we've been hearing. We've been called names, and people fear coming out to open themselves to insults, and because some spaces have been very insulting remarks and everything. But since we have nothing to fear, as Eugene WAMALWA said, I've had a good time tonight. And Hillary, I want to thank you very, very much, and to tell you that if you and Abdi and Rose invite me, I will not hesitate to come again and be part of this great conversation towards Project Kenya. I would love to be part of that change that will see our country back away from the hands of those who have really messed it up. And all I will ask again as I close, I want to close with the words of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 22, as I said. Let us not say, oh, we are Gen Zs, we are Gen Y, we are Gen X, we are Gen Alpha, and we sound like those Christians who are saying, oh, we belong to Paul, we belong to Apollo, we belong to Cephas. They were told that as long as you belong to Christ, we are on the same side. As long as tonight you believe in a heart of hearts that our country is going in the wrong direction, that our country is going to the dogs, that our country is suffocating under endemic corruption and tribalism, and you want things changed, you know that that is what the Gen Zs went out for accountability, for transparency, for good governance. And they use their tech savvy skills that many of our generation do not have. And that digital revolution was really a revolution that has been celebrated across the world. Let us stay focused on the real mission, which would be to ensure that we get our country back on track. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Eugene. Fellow Kenyan speakers, the incredible Pressure Point team, thank you for making to this space a powerful platform for dialogue, reflection, and action. Your engagement tonight is a testament to our collective commitment to demanding better for our country. Special appreciation to Honorable Eugene WAMALWA for joining us and sharing your perspective on governance, economic recovery, and the present challenges we face as our country. I think your insights have added a great value to this conversation. We appreciate your leadership, dedication to the national discourse. As we close, let's remember that change is not one-time event. It's a continuous journey that requires vigilance, unity, and commitment. The issues we tackle tonight, from economic hardship to political accountability, demand more than just discussion. They require action. Each of us has a role to play, whether through advocacy, engagement, or holding leaders accountable. Let's stay informed, let's stay engaged, and most importantly, let's stay united. The fight for better Kenya is far from over, but together we are stronger and we will push forward. Thank you all. Let's keep the momentum going. Good night. See you next week. And for those who are saying Rigadi Gashagwa, Rigadi will be here in the coming weeks to address us from Wamunyoro, and we will have this conversation going on. Asanteni Sana. Over to you,
Thank you
Hillary.
so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining Pressure Point every Sunday. We are here live and we're making this conversation to make sure that our country is getting in direction. And Honorable Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation this evening and also taking more the time that we agreed. We're really humble about that. And also, it shows your commitment to Kenyans and you answer the question that they want to hear from your side. And we want to say that we let us see how much we can do all this together as Kenyans and to bring more change. We want the system to be changed so that all Kenyans feel appreciated, accepted, and feel part and parcel of the country. Again, if you go tonight, you are part and parcel of this team, the Pressure Point. So anytime we will be on your calls. Don't fear us, and let us make this conversation together as a family as we see the country as a direction. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much. We as Pressure Point, we are very, very humble all the time. You are joining this conversation, and we are very sorry those who didn't get mic. We are taking the notes, and next time, come early so that you can have a mic in advance. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. God bless you. Have a good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are. May God bless you till Sunday again. Bye for now.